In the heart of the Middle East, Israel, once a symbol of strategic brilliance and resilience, now faces a convergence of crises. Internally, its citizens are deeply divided. Its economy is strained, and its military faces the ongoing challenges of conflict in Gaza. Externally, the possibility of more regional clashes threatens to escalate an already unstable situation. The so-called war in Gaza, which started after the Hamas attacks last October, has now dragged on for over 10 months. The October 7th, 2023, Hamas attack on Israel was a controversial event that resulted in significant loss of life and raised many questions about how such a large-scale and coordinated assault was able to occur. Some observers have speculated that Israeli intelligence and military might have missed critical warning signs, while others have proposed theories that suggest more deliberate negligence, which is more likely. The so-called surprise attack on Israel by Hamas on October 7, 2023, despite Israel's sophisticated intelligence and military capabilities, has drawn comparisons to other major historical events where governments were caught off guard despite having prior knowledge or warning signs. Two such events are the July 15, 2016 coup attempt in Turkey and the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. In each case, despite prior knowledge or warning signs, governments failed to act in time. What began with some Western sympathy for Israel's so-called right to defend itself has turned into international condemnation for what many now see as a brutal and genocidal campaign against the Palestinians. Israel's global reputation has suffered dramatically. Accusations of war crimes and crimes against humanity have been leveled against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and key Israeli military leaders by international judicial bodies. The International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice have both issued damning rulings, branding Israel's actions as violations of international law. While it's easy to pin the blame on Netanyahu, this decline in Israel's strategic acumen is rooted in decisions made over the last 50 years, following Israel's stunning victory in the 1967 Arab-Israeli War. The war, often remembered as a miraculous triumph, marked a crucial turning point in Israel's strategy. Rather than returning occupied territories for the sake of peace, Israel chose to retain and gradually colonize the West Bank and Gaza. This choice created a long-term paradox. Israel's desire to remain a Jewish state conflicted with the democratic rights of millions of Palestinians living under occupation. The continued occupation, alongside the systematic expansion of settlements, has led to accusations of apartheid. Critics argue that Israel's policies undermine its claim to be a democracy, as it suppresses Palestinian political and civil rights in the occupied territories. Opportunities for peace, such as the Oslo Accords of the 1990s, offered a potential solution, a two-state system. But Israel's actions, including continued settlement building and weakening Palestinian leadership, have all but eliminated that possibility. As a result, peace remains elusive and the dream of a two-state solution grows dimmer with each passing year. Israel's military strategy has also been questioned. In 1982, Israel launched an invasion of Lebanon intended to dismantle the Palestine Liberation Organization and establish a pro-Israel government in Beirut. What followed was the creation of Hezbollah, which is managed and supported by Israel's fraternal twin brother Iran. Far from securing its northern border, the invasion led to decades of instability and confrontation. Israel's opposition to the 2015 Iran nuclear accord serves as another example of its declining strategic insight. By pushing the United States to abandon the deal, Israel inadvertently set the stage for Iran's continued pursuit of nuclear capabilities, leading to a more dangerous regional landscape. This deterioration in strategy is not solely a product of individual leadership. U.S. support for Israel, unwavering despite growing international condemnation, has allowed Israel to act with relative impunity on the global stage. Many argue that this lack of accountability has enabled Israel's leadership to make decisions that have eroded its long-term security. Moreover, the growing influence of Israel's religious right has shifted the country's political and military priorities. Religious beliefs, rooted in messianic and apocalyptic visions, have begun to play an outsized role in shaping Israeli policy. This has led to decisions driven by ideology rather than strategic rationale, further exacerbating the country's internal and external challenges. The consequences of these strategic missteps are already apparent. Israel's once strong international alliances, particularly with the United States, are showing signs of strain. Younger generations, including many American Jews, are increasingly critical of Israel's actions, leading to a sharp decline in support across key demographics. Israel's current trajectory is not only dangerous for its own future, but also for its closest ally, the United States. Continued alignment with an Israel perceived as violating international norms could harm America's global standing, damage its relationships with other nations, and even lead to the downfall of American hegemony. As Israel continues on this perilous path, the question remains, can it pivot toward a more rational long-term strategy before it's too late? Or will its current course lead to international isolation, economic hardship, and unending strife? The future of Israel and its most important ally hangs in the balance. There is an intriguing parallel between Pan-Turkism, a nationalist movement that emerged in the late Ottoman Empire, and Zionism, implying that both ideologies have played or could play a pivotal role in shaping the fate of their respective states and global powers. Let's break this down further. Pan-Turkism, which replaced Pan-Islamism, emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries as a nationalist ideology aiming to unite all Turkic-speaking peoples under a single political and cultural framework. While it aimed to strengthen the Ottoman Empire's unity by appealing to its Turkic majority, the ideology also alienated non-Turkic ethnic groups within the empire, such as Arabs, Armenians, Kurds, and Greeks. This internal division contributed to weakening the empire's cohesion, especially at a time when external pressures and World War I accelerated its decline. The focus on Turkic identity led to tensions within the multicultural empire, contributing to its fragmentation and eventual dissolution after the war. Zionism, initially a Jewish nationalist movement seeking to establish a Jewish homeland, successfully led to the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. However, as Israel remains a focal point of geopolitical tension in the Middle East, some critics view Zionism as a cause of the ongoing conflict with its Arab neighbors. This is due to Zionism's ambition for a greater Israel. If Zionism, particularly its more expansionist or militaristic tendencies, remains unchecked, it could have far-reaching consequences not only for Israel but also for the broader geopolitical balance. The US, as Israel's strongest ally, has poured significant military, diplomatic, and economic resources into supporting Israel, which has drawn criticism in many parts of the world, particularly from Arab and Muslim-majority countries. This dynamic, you imply, could lead to the erosion of US influence, particularly in the Middle East, and could weaken the broader Anglo-Saxon global order, similar to Pan-Turkism, which aimed to consolidate power but ultimately alienated non-Turkic populations, particularly Muslim Arabs. Some people argue that Zionism's pursuit of a greater Israel, or policies seen as exclusionary, could alienate important global partners and exacerbate tensions with Muslim and Arab populations, as well as with other non-Muslim nations in general. This could result in increased regional instability, leading to greater conflict and weakening both Israel's position and the US's global standing. The possible decline of the Anglo-Saxon hegemony on a global scale is part of a larger discussion about the changing geopolitical situation. As global power moves towards multipolarity with the rise of China, Russia, and regional powers like Turkey, Western dominance is increasingly challenged. If Zionism continues to drive policies that isolate Israel and its Western allies in the international arena, this could indeed contribute to the waning influence of the US and its allies in key regions like the Middle East. In essence, much like Pan-Turkism contributed to the unraveling of the Ottoman Empire, Zionism, if not carefully managed, could lead to the downfall of Israel and weaken the influence of its most significant ally, the United States. This could, in turn, accelerate the decline of the Anglo-Saxon-led global order, as the news about Turkey, NAT, has predicted.